Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be talking about the Beatles recording of She Said, She Said that they did on June 21st, 1966. Now, the Beatles took time off during their American tour in 65, and they rented a home in Benedict Canyon, Los Angeles, and the home was owned by Zsa Zsa Gabor. They stayed there from August 23rd to August 28th, and they invited celebs to come and hang out with them, people like from the Byrds, Roger McGuinn, and David Crosby. Now, George and John wanted Paul and Ringo to do LSD. George and John had already done it. They were carrying these sugar cubes laced with LSD all through the American tour. But Paul wouldn't take it, but the other three did. So now David Crosby brought Peter Fonda there, and the Beatles didn't even know who he was. He hadn't done Easy Rider yet. They were familiar with his sister, but they were no fans of hers. Peter Fonda, wearing sunglasses, keeps coming up to John and whispering, "I know what it's like to be dead." So now there's Playboy models running around, and it's this beautiful sunny day, in the 60s. Lennon is tripping his brains out, and Peter Fonda is creepy and annoying. So John finally says, "Get this guy out of here." Fast forward to March at John's home in Kenwood, and Lennon remembers the event. John is on record saying, "I used it for the song, but I changed it to she instead of he. It was scary. A guy when you're flying high and whispers, 'I know what it's like to be dead, man.' I remember the incident. Don't tell me about it. I don't want to know what it's like to be dead." George Harrison has said that he helped write the bridge. Of note, the verses in She Said are 10 measures long, and the bridge is 11 measures long. Plus, the first 2 measures of the bridge are in 4/4 time, and the remaining 9 measures of the bridge are in 3/4 time, and I'll explain more of that later. So during the making of the Revolver album, they were one song short. So on June 21st, 1966 in EMI Studio 3, John brings in She Said, She Said. Paul's on record saying, "John brought it in pretty much finished, I think. I'm not sure, but I think it was one of the only Beatle records I never played on. I think we had a Barney or something, and I said, 'Oh, F you.' And they said, 'Well, we'll do it.' I think George played bass." But on the live rehearsal tracks of June 21st, you can plainly hear that it's Paul McCartney playing bass because he counts the song in. So Paul may have meant that he didn't sing on it because George did the harmony vocals. Or Paul played on the rehearsals and George overdubbed the bass. But the final bass tracks on the record sound exactly like what Paul was playing on the rehearsal tracks. So we'll never know for sure. But I'm going to attribute it to Paul. Fun facts, no and tell, they rehearsed it 25 times before they recorded it. And they recorded and mixed it in 9 hours. So I think it was like drums and bass on track 1, John and George's guitar on track 2, John and George singing on track 3, and John and George double tracking on track 4. So then they do a reduction mix to another 4-track, and George added more guitar, John played Hammond organ, and Ringo overdubbed Shaker on the end of the song, on the fade out, I should say. They weren't happy with the mix, so the next day they did a new mix on June 22nd, 1966, and that's what we hear on the record. They never played the song live, and it was released in the U.S. on the Revolver album in August of 1966. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. John Lennon is playing his Epiphone Casino on She Said, She Said, and in those days the Beatles were using Fender amps, so I'm going through an old blackface Fender Deluxe Reverb. The song is in the key of B flat, but John uses a capo on the first fret, so I'm going to show it to you and kind of call the chords in first position, but they'll sound a half step higher. So if I play an A7, first position like that, it's actually sounding a B flat 7. Now I'm writing the charts out in the key of A and in the key of B flat, so you could choose whatever you like. But again, capo, and we'll talk, first position chords. I think you know what I mean. The chords you'll need to play the song are A7, G, D. Once in a blue moon, you'll need a regular A. And on the bridge, you need an E minor. So those are all the chords you're going to need. At the very beginning, George plays that little line. And and John comes in on the second measure, and he does some nice finger picking, and it sounds like this. John plays. You can do it with your fingers or pick. I actually prefer with a pick, you get it more precise, like, you know. Just nice little arpeggiating on that A7 chord. Then on the first verse, he plays like this. I'll go slow. He goes. And that'll be the second verse. I'll play that just with Ringo in tempo one time so you get a feel of it. So from the second measure, when John comes in, it goes 3, 4. Thanks, Ringo. Really nice playing by John Lennon. Creative, isn't it? Okay, second verse, more of the same, arpeggiating through things, some really interesting moves. I'll do it slow for you. Here's the second verse. I like how he just goes up the D chord. And then up the G chord, like, I'll do that slow. Oh, this is a regular A. Right? And then we're into the first bridge. Now again, the bridge, the first two measures of the bridge are in 4/4, and then the other 9, because it's an 11 measure long bridge, are in 3/4. And it's just basically chord strumming. So he plays like this. First A7 on the bridge. 2 measures of 4. Now you switch to 3/4. And then he's back into 4/4. So I got to turn the page to get to the rest of the chart. Verse 3, John starts off with a regular A chord, and he plays like this. Then we're into the second bridge, and that bridge again, 2 measures of 4, then you play in 3/4. So 2 measures of 4/4, like this. Now we're in 3/4. And the final verse, in the first measure, he does a little kind of cool 16th note little strumming that he doesn't do, I don't think, anywhere else. And he plays like this. He goes, regular A chord, he plays. Nice little creative extra move to the D. Remember, charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com if you want to see it even more precisely probably than I just played it. And on the way out, he does some little frantic strumming where he's playing 1, 2, and a E and a 4 E and a. So it's all on the A7 chord. It's like up to speed, it would be, a little frantic. Oops, hit my coffee cup. And those are all the parts that John Lennon plays on She Said, She Said. George Harrison is playing his Gibson SG on She Said, She Said, and to my ear it sounds like he's playing through a Fender Showman amp and overdriving it somehow. So I'm still using my deluxe reverb, but I've got a little overdrive on it and a little treble boost to try to get some pa in the sound. And again, he's using a capo on the first fret because there's some open strings he plays, and you can tell there's a capo. So the main riff, which you've heard, sounds like this. Now what's of note is this, if you want to get it just like George, for the most part, he plays that open first string. But once in a while, and I'll go through it, he plays that note, which is an F note, on the 6th fret. Sometimes he plays. But mostly it's open on the first string. Like that. Okay, then he doesn't play, until the third verse of the third measure of the verse. The song goes. Alright, that's his first verse. Second verse, pretty similar. Doesn't play the first two measures. Bum, 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 bum. Do, 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 do. Do like a... Charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com make it a lot clearer than I'm probably showing you right now. During that bridge, again, first two measures are in 4/4, and then 9 measures in 3/4. On the second measure, he plays a little, so it goes like A to G. George goes. And that's your typical, if you're in A. Kind of bends that C up. And then on the When I Was a Boy, on the E minor, he plays this line. He plays. Really sweet little George Harrison part. I just love that. Now we're on to verse 3. On verse 3, let me put this up, both charts. On verse 3, he's playing, a lot of just kind of banging on some A notes, which are really B flat notes, capo, you understand. And he plays this. Right at the beginning of verse 3, he plays. And then. That's the first time on verse 3 where he plays that F note on the 6th fret instead of open. Making me feel like There's really no vibrato. It's very straight. He plays. He doesn't go. No vibrato. Very George. Second bridge. Same thing. So, same thing on the E minor. When I was a... Such a George Harrison part, right? And on verse 4, just some more A notes, which are really B flat notes, capo. He plays. Again, open that time. Make me feel like And then on the fade out, it's pretty much, just some wild wackadoodle A notes, B flat notes, capo, which sound like this. Let's see. Gets it on the 6th fret that time, on the way out. So again, the fade out. And so on and so forth. And the only difference on the overdub, I'm not going to show you everything on the overdub because he plays a lot of the same thing, he just doubles the part. But on the part where it goes, instead of, he goes on the overdub. So instead of, he goes, and you'll hear it on my Sound Alike. But again, I wrote out every single part, wackadoodle guy that I am. I wrote out each part in A and each part in B flat, and including the double tracking that George did. So that's 4 pages. It's 3 times 12. It's 24. The charts are 24 pages long. If you care to download it and want to see exactly what he played on the original part and on the double part. I have put it all together in a Sound Alike so you can see how all the parts fit together. So have a look at this. Well, now you see how all the parts fit together, and as usual, I suggest you learn John and George's part, play along with my Sound Alike, and you'll get it just like the Beatles. If you'd like to drop me a line, do so at MikePachelli.com. That's where the charts and tabs are available for you to download for every single one of my video lessons I've done. And if you would be so kind, please consider downloading some, because that's how you can support my work. So have fun playing this great old song, and until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.